Imagine this. You've just been diagnosed with a degenerative disease, but thankfully, you are in the early stages. Though it is not curable, with just a bit of regular medical attention and assistance, you have made the choice to help slow down the disease and its deadly effects. On the other hand, let's say you just ignored your symptoms altogether. The outcome is textbook. You would die much sooner, and your family would be left behind. Understandably, they may decide to get an autopsy done on the body to confirm the cause of death. How do you think they would feel to find out you had a disease you made the conscientious decision to ignore? Would they feel anger, guilt, confusion, regret? Absolutely. But now, let's make one last change to this scenario. Let's say that this disease was a form of mental illness, and though physically you haven't died, it's as if the person you were has ceased to exist. What is the outcome? Your family has to deal with the emotional consequences along with the agony of watching you suffer without even acknowledging what's happening. Good morning, staff, guests, fellow competitors, and judges. My name is Taylor Thorne, and today I'll be talking to you about mental illness and the effects it has on bystanders. I'm sure you'd agree that the scenario I just gave sounded awful. But the truth is, it's only scratching the surface of what it's like to live with someone who becomes mentally ill. I believe that although mental illness is very challenging for the sufferer, it also has long-lasting effects on those whose lives are directly touched by them. Experts define mental illness as a significant dysfunction in a person's thinking, emotional control, and behavior. In extreme cases, mental illness disrupts a person's ability to relate to others and to deal with the demands of life. People with significant mental disorders can rapidly lose their trust for their once closest companions. They may shut people out and become hermits in their own minds. As a bystander, it's very hard to watch this happen. Mental illness affects people all over the world every day. Did you know that 1 in 4 will be affected at some point during their life? Mental illness affects people of any age, gender, culture, religion, and income or education level. In fact, it is expected that by 2020 it will be the leading cause of disability on the planet. Yet, mental disabilities remain hidden, neglected, and discriminated against. I believe that this overwhelming situation puts strain on all relationships, those with family members, co-workers, and friends of the individual. Now, none of us are infallible in our speech and actions when it comes to the subject of mental illness. However, there are helpful suggestions that all of us can take to heart, not only to help end the stigma surrounding mental illness, but also to support those who deal with it day in and day out. First, language matters. Words help, but they can also hurt. Second, educate yourself. Learn the facts, but reject the myths, because knowledge is power. Third, being kind speaks volumes. Fourth, listen and ask. And finally, fifth, talk about it. Exchanging stories of lived experiences is one of the best ways to try and understand mental illness. I am someone who has watched a close family member succumb to mental disorders which got progressively worse as time went on. They had no desire to obtain any medical attention, and that has not changed. I think that one of the prominent downsides to mental illness is how it impacts close bystanders. Mental illness doesn't just infect the sufferer, but it also has the power to tear families apart. What once was a loving, warm, welcoming environment can be turned into a fearful situation that's hard to cope with, but even harder to explain. The afflicted may start doing things that you hate, and you may convince yourself that you hate them. Frustratingly, you need to realize that this is not true. You must learn to hate the illness and not them. In conclusion, I believe that from a bystander's point of view, watching someone's mental illness get worse is like mourning the loss of who they once were. As in death, you are left with just the memories. However, I believe that we can all play a vital role in helping the bystanders cope with the effects of mental illness. Even if you are not personally touched by someone with mental illness, you can support those who are. You may never be able to get someone with mental illness to get the help they need, but you can have the satisfaction of knowing You're playing your part in breaking the silence of how mental illness affects a bystander.